Welcome to Josh's House of Nerd podcast.
Hello, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Grab a cold evergreen goblet of blue milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. Now for tonight's sponsor. Are you elite? Do you want to be elite? If so, come down to Zero Cool's House of Elite Hackers. Here, we will show how even you, with a sick 33 megahertz processor that has 4 megabytes of RAM and 240 megabytes of hard drive, with an internal modem, can hack a Pentium 2, and even a Gibson, and so much more. All here at Zero Cool's House of Elite Hackers. Sign up now to be elite, and as always, hack the planet. Now on to the show. Today on the podcast, we are on the topic for the month, which is movies where actors are unknown or mostly unknown. Tonight's movie is Crit's pick, and it is Hackers, which is a 1995 crime thriller film directed by Ian Softly and starring Johnny Lee Miller, Angelina Jolie, Jesse Bradford, Matthew Lillard, Lawrence Mason, Renali Santiago, Lorraine Bracco, and Fisher Stevens. This film follows a group of Hollywood school hackers and their involvement in corporate extortion conspiracies. Let's talk about that movie, guys. What do you think about Hackers?
So before we dive into the movie,
Yeah.
I should have texted you beforehand, but I wonder what your horribly cheesy hacker names would be at this point. And I tried to find one before we jumped on the podcast, and I chose Pseudo Chop. You know, from Pseudo.
I don't want to participate in this.
Oh, that makes me sad. It would give us such a window into your mind.
No, it just leaves us with just you having the handle Pseudo Chop and the rest of us acting normally, which I find funnier.
Which is kind of the opposite of the movie. Yeah.
Taco Boy.
Taco Boy. I could see.
I got hacked by Taco Boy. Like, you just don't admit it. You'd never be infamous because no one would ever admit to it happening.
That's the point. I go under the radar because nobody wants to talk about me. Taco Boy hit me? What? No. When you said that, for some reason I thought you said Chop Suey for a minute. And I was like, oh, that's a really weird
that's a
name.
great song. No, but I really enjoy the cheesiness of all the hacker names throughout all this. Like, I really think it was maybe the last minute type thing is like, crap, we have a script about hackers, but we don't have any cool names for the hackers. So they're like on the plane to pitch the script, and they're trying to come up with hacker names, and they're not necessarily hackers themselves. So yeah, that's where I think all the names came from.
I mean, serial killer.
It feels like it feels like everything, all the plot points were something that a 13-year-old would come up with, which is awesome because this basically came out when I was 15, so it was just perfect.
Mm-hmm. No, this is the perfect movie. This is perfect movie for Josh pre 18 years old. Which is funny because I didn't actually see this movie until I was like in my 20s somewhere. And I still liked it. But I'm going to have to be honest, it is extremely cheesy, and it's sometimes a little rough to watch some of the scenes and stuff like that, just because of its cheesiness and stuff.
And it's so old now. Like the end scene where they're using those the couplers on the payphones, and you're like, oh my gosh, payphones are still a thing. And then, just the whole old school aspect of it. Like it's a cool scene, but it's still just like cringy as you're like, oh my gosh, technology has gone so far.
And speaking of that scene, the first thing I wrote down in my notes a little bit about that scene is, the movie could have ended right there with those couplers. If the guy was just thinking about it and not being dumb for a plot point, he could have just walked over there and disconnected the phones, and it would just been done. They would have been screwed. I'm just like, okay, Well, he doesn't even think about it and just walks away. Cruel.
Yeah, I don't. Examining the motivations of the characters in this movie is just a road to hell because nothing in this movie makes sense that way.
No, it doesn't. I kind of had to like excuse myself. I kind of had to say that to myself as well. It's like, all right, I can't think too hard on this and stuff. It's just a movie. And I honestly did think that because it's like, there's too many things in this movie that if you dwell on it too much, you're going to take yourself right out of it and not enjoy it anymore. Like
I mean,
even
some
just
of it's
like it.
the fun
Go ahead.
campiness. It's just
Right.
the absolutely ridiculous. Like the idea that there's a server room looks like that. First of all, second of all, there's a board security guard 24/7 looking at it, and every time you type your password, it actually comes up on the screen in like, I don't know, 6-foot entry letter, and for the security guard to look at. It is absolutely awesome in that it is absolutely nothing that in reality, it's not even close to reality. So that's the amazing part about this movie is that it's so far from reality that it's kind of Saturday morning cartoon awesome.
Yes, no, I agree. I mean, just think of like the representations they did to kind of. I know they were going for like a visual look to draw somebody in because how exciting is command line? I mean, to most people to be like, ooh, that's nothing. So they had to throw some like visual, like, I don't know, it looked like algebra on the screen to make it look awesome when they were going into like those virtual server environments and things like that to see the stacks and stuff. I mean, it was kind of cool to think of it that way, but I mean, nevertheless, it was still interesting. I just read a kind of a behind the scenes type thing about the movie, kind of prepping for the podcast. And I always wondered if they did CGI and stuff like that. Did you know they didn't? That's all kind of they didn't use any CGI at all. Somehow they did it in camera. They did it with video tricks and things like that to do all of that inside the computer junk, which I thought was interesting because I would have thought that was probably CGI somehow.
I mean, the art direction was great. Like the push through shots of like, somebody had to sit down and build like the New York replica, but on breadboard, and the, motherboards all stacked around and the camera pushing through the middle of it and stuff like that. Like they had to spend some time on it. They actually tried to create a visual metaphor for what they think was happening when someone is hacking something, and that's interesting. And also, I kind of like that they highlighted that the easiest hack, the most straightforward hack, is a social hack. It's just telling people what they expect to hear and getting information out of them, which is true.
Yeah,
that's highly accurate.
I mean, what do they teach you like about fishing? Like they talk about like what tailgating, and they talk about how, someone just making a contact outside for a name or going through garbage or I mean, there's so many social hacks and yet you see them doing it and all that. I mean, I just laughed at the dumpster scene where they're dumpster diving for like, printouts, which the printouts made me like the old printout pages made me laugh too, though. I used to have a Commodore 64 that would print out paper like that. The old chained paper.
I guess they didn't get in trouble for her attempted manslaughter with the flare gun.
Okay. Yeah,
because I mean
in that
like,
scene, yeah.
I get, and that was before they found out about like where the entire conspiracy and everything like that. So they were going to do this anyway. They were going to commit all these crimes because they committed a lot of crimes.
But it was in Fun Crit, so it's like okay, isn't it? I mean,
I guess
it's allowed because they're the good guys hacking the planet, man. Come on. No, I mean, all this stuff, like, but I gotta admit, I giggled a little bit about when they did the whole thing of putting that guy into like a sex magazine or whatever, and he was getting all the calls and listening to his answering machine. Oh, I that scene gets me every time.
Was that agent they were? Was
yes.
that the duel? Yeah. Okay.
I want to lick you all over. It's not, I was like, woo! Weird. I know it's
that whole scene, and then the whole rollerblade scene, like those are the two scenes that I'm just like, are you really we're doing this right now? We're really rollerblading and invading, what was it? It was the Secret Service, right?
And the cops. Yeah.
Because it's been like 2 weeks since I've seen this. So yeah, so they were evading, Secret Service and the cops, rollerblading. Like, oh my gosh!
Did
Well,
you
I
know?
mean,
So
he hacked the traffic lights.
The
'cause
traffic
that's not a
lights, yeah, so
crime.
he has
'Cause that's
to-
not a crime.
No,
know?
it's not. They're just
Ugh.
traffic lights. It's not going to cause any problems.
That's
making
alright.
somebody appear as dead. I mean, that's probably not illegal. I mean, or
No,
canceling your credit
identity
cards.
theft.
Yeah,
Identity
no.
theft wasn't a thing in the 90s.
Multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it says. Like you can't go into this like movie. I mean, you can, but it's not as much fun if you go into it going like, what is going on and why nothing like this maps to reality. And it's like, well, yeah, this
the
is
fact-
not.
But it's
The
what
fact
people
they're supposed to be
thought
in
of
high
the computers of.
school.
Well, yeah, there's
Yeah.
that.
The fact
you
that
gotta-
they're supposed to be in high school, they are not high schoolers. Like, it's really
no.
obvious. Like, it's. It would have been more believable if this was college. Like they did some kind of college, or like, oh, they're in their first year of college or some crap like that. But no, they're doing high school and trying to pass that off.
I don't know. Have you seen pictures of senior classes from like the late 80s, early 90s? They look 30.
I mean, you're not wrong. They do look older than I
Yeah.
remember, anyway. You know,
Yeah,
I hate
so
to
I
say.
think-
I mean, you look
I
at
think
like
they
even Back to the
passed in
Future.
95. Yeah, I think
You think?
I think they passed in 95. I don't think anybody was like, what are these 30-year-olds playing high schoolers? You know, that's
You
Well,
know what's
how
one
old
thing that's
was
interesting?
Angelina Jolie when she did that?
I
pretty young.
actually. So this was her second kind of movie. She did another one with one when she was younger, and one with her dad. And I just had it up on the screen, but now I just lost it. But yeah, she was. I think she was in her early 20s.
Mhm.
She's old enough to get married because her and Johnny Lee Miller got married right after this, and were married for 18
Oh, I
months.
did not know that.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Johnny Lee Miller was her first husband. They were together for 2 years, but after 18 months they split, and then at the about 2 year mark they divorced. But yeah, they were
Yeah,
together
I-
for quite a while.
I did not know that. Apparently, his hacking skills did not cut it for her.
But you know, not at all. You know, it's one thing that's interesting about this movie is I thought about it quite a bit. Is, you know, you brought up that they made some attempts to make it look, you know, visually acceptable. Who know? You know, here's the thing about this time. We're looking at it from a point of view of now. I mean, if people out there that haven't, you know, listened to our podcast very often, we're all IT professionals, and to kind of look back at this technology, to look back at the way that this actually is, we're kind of looking at it from that perspective, but at that same time, like I remember computers being stupidly new. I mean, I had a friend who had a 33 megahertz, you know, IBM compatible computer that we would go and, like, you know, play Jeopardy on and Wheel of Fortune and things like that. I mean, this stuff, like, in our minds, this was like cutting edge, and you never know, it could be this way and it could happen this way. And, you know, from that perspective, which kind of, you know, is a little interesting, because even when I originally saw it, I'm like, cool. I was into computers a little bit when I first saw this, but not that much. And still I was like, wow, I can't believe they knew how to do that, you know? And I didn't even know what they were talking about when they were talking about, like, the books, like the Unix book and the all of the I can't remember all the books that they did. The big red book and the, you know, the blue book and IBM's computer thing. I had no idea what any of that was, or even what Unix was at the time. Anyways, I just kind of thought of that because that was kind of an interesting perspective to look now at it and go, yeah, right. And then look and think back at me on my Commodore 64 at that time, going, yeah, that could happen. I could do that.
Well, I mean, it kind of did happen. There were tons of hacks during that time. It's just that this is Hollywood's interpretation of
Yes.
the language, not the actuality, which is fine. I mean, that's why
Yeah.
I say it's a Saturday morning cartoon. It's not
Exactly.
meant to map onto reality. And also,
And that's
like,
okay.
I think the more interesting thing was like the difference between now and then is in order to get some information, you had to go find a book. You couldn't look it up. There was no online. There's no Wikipedia. There was no, Stack Overflow. There was nothing out there to kind of really get you that information. You had to go find a professional somewhere that had a book or buy it yourself.
I mean, think of how many, like, even like Udemy or, other things like that where you could get yourself taught if you didn't know those things. I mean, that's all on the internet. This is early days of the internet. I mean, this is like modem to modem, or modem, dial-up modem times, Well, I mean, how fast was the baud that they say on that built-in modem that she had? Was it like 33?
Yeah, I think it was 23.
Was it 28.8?
28.8. It was 28.8, but
Yeah.
there were faster modems even in 95. It just
There
shows
was.
that it was written, before 95.
Yeah, no, my first computer was 98, and it had a, I think it had a 56K. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a little bit more advanced than this. Oh man. The nice thing about this movie is it does bring back a lot of memories of the early internet. When I first got onto it, and some of the stuff kind of reminds me of some of the the old forums and the old bulletin board systems and things like that were kind of fun. Yahoo and
IRC.
Alta
I
Vista.
mean, IRC is still a thing, but back then it was even bigger.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it was big there. I mean, but you still, like what Kurt was saying, is you still had to know like where to go. Heck, you still had to know like, I can't remember at this time. Were you still having to call like phone numbers to get onto like a bulletin board system, or
Yeah,
I mean, what you were doing like IRC
you had to
and stuff
connect
like
to
that,
an
right?
exchange.
Yeah,
you had to connect to an exchange, so you had to call a number,
and then you had to know
and
those numbers. I
then
remember even having AOL.
It would tie up
Yeah.
your entire landline, so no one could use the phone.
Exactly. I remember my wife, her dad, worked for a potato plant, but he was their IT guy, he was telephone guy, and they had a second line in there so that he could put into their house so that they could dial out and be connected to the company at all times, so they didn't plug up their phone line. I always thought when I first met my wife, I was like blown away that they had two phone lines just for that. It was pretty mind blowing. And they had a Pentium 3, which is like, oh yeah. Sick.
We had dial up for a long time, and then I remember when my friend got an ISBN line. Yeah, that's 128, I believe.
You could download a JPEG in like 20 minutes. That was great.
I know exactly. We played PlanetSide with it. That's what we did. Was played PlanetSide with his ISBN line, and he was the son of like the only internet provider in town, so he obviously got all the new stuff first. He was the first one to get like wireless and get access to like a T1 line and stuff like that.
Ooh, so. T1, which a lot of people still think that's really fast.
It's not.
They piped a single T1 in to the top of the highest mountain in our valley and broadcast that wirelessly. A single T1 for the entire town. And that was the first wireless that came to.
What is a T1? Isn't it like 128 kilobits per second?
Yeah, the only difference between that and a standard line is that it's a guaranteed as opposed to a fluctuating signal.
And it's 1.5 megabits per second.
1.5.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew I was wrong. I had a feeling I was wrong. And then they would bundle all those together to do like, I remember being like, hey, I heard this buddy of mine, he has a T3 line, man. It's totally cool. I don't know. That's what we called it, a T3 line. We didn't know the crap we were talking about.
Yeah,
we just
you're right.
thought we were awesome. I knew it was. Yeah, I knew the terminology was right, but we had no idea what that meant. Yeah, we just knew it was like bigger than a T1.
Yeah,
which is, I think they would just bundle several T1s together to make a T3, if I remember correctly.
More than likely. I
Anyway.
mean, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yep.
I think that's what they brought in was the DS3 to replace the T1, and then I have no idea what they went after that because I left the little town before that happened. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I was on dial-up for a very long time.
My first wireless connection was a 3 meg satellite connection here in our Idaho Falls and stuff from the what do they call it? The Thunder Iona Hill. There we go. And I thought I was just like rocking it, man. It was amazing because it was dedicated. I could stream on it. You know? I thought it was pretty amazing because I'd never had anything like that before. Pretty much anything before that had either been the school's internet or my parents' dial-up because they lived out in the country, and the most they could get even up until like 15 years ago, I think, was still probably 18 years ago was dial-up, just because of their location.
Oof.
But that's okay.
Well, now we got things like Starlink.
Right. So, like the technology, it's really fun to look at it. It's almost like looking back in time and seeing what people thought like the future might be, or think of it as, like from my perspective, just a good way to, try to interpret what was going on in the computer world and make it interesting for people to, be able to ingest that information, because again, they had no idea. They knew Commodore 64s, and they knew 33 megahertz IBM compatible processors and things like that, which I can't remember the names of them anymore.
So are you ready for the piece of trivia I found on Wikipedia for it?
Bring it, John. Bring it.
It was re-released on October 25th, 2005. And it was done so it could be marketed for the Sony PSP.
Seriously?
Yeah. It was released in the UMD format, apparently, which was the Sony PSP video format.
Yeah.
So
Couldn't you buy that in like little cartridges or something like that and just plug it in and watch your movie? Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And they decided Hackers was going to be a good re-release for it. So,
and then hilarious, man.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. And that wasn't even hilarious. That wasn't even like a 10th or 20th anniversary. That one came later. It looks like on Blu-ray later. But yeah, this was just like let's put it on the PSP because the people on the PSP are going to be our good target audience, I guess, for Hackers the movie. So that was my fun piece of trivia I found.
I guess it's a kind of it's kind of a cool strategy. I mean, it's like thinking a little bit more strategically than a lot of times you see some of these campaigns out there in the advertising world. At least they didn't try it. Maybe they did. I was going to say maybe they're at least they didn't team up with McDonald's or Burger King, but you never know. They just might have. To try to get the word out. It seems like that's what everybody was doing or still does. But anyways, I was going to bring up how this kind of fits our theme for people out there. I kind of did a looking up of like movies and what movie this was for like everybody, for the most part. And what I come to find out is most of this was everybody's second movie of all of them. Now Fisher Stevens, on the other hand, this is like 5, 6, 7 movies. I don't know. He was in all the Short Circuit movies, which I did not know that was him forever. I always thought of him as that foreigner guy who know what nationality he was from in Short Circuit. And then when I see him in other things, I still think of him as that guy in Short Circuit. Not the plague as he is in this movie.
where he's playing brown face in Short Circuit.
Yes, is he?
I mean, he's not Indian, and he's playing someone from that area.
Yeah, that is the ethnicity he did. That's true, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those. It's a fact of when that movie came out, but they didn't need to do that.
Right.
I definitely liked him better as the Plague. The Plague has like some of the best lines in the whole movie. I love how when they introduce him, he's rolling in on his skateboard.
Yes.
He kicks it up And then he throws it away. He literally puts it back down on the ground, like just to do the kick up thing. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. It's so cartoon villain, and it's kind of awesome.
He's just lacking the curly mustaches.
I mean, he has the goatee.
It's true. He does have the goatee, so maybe he's not lacking much.
A piece of trivia to go along with that kind of skateboarding thing, dude. I guess they actually got together like 2 months before the movie started, to learn how to skateboard and how to rollerblade. Is what the trivia says. And
I could
thought
believe
that was,
it.
Yeah,
I mean, there weren't necessarily things that everyone was into at the time.
Yeah. Another thing that I thought was really interesting, we just kind of touched on a little bit, is how many kind of iconic catchphrases or quotes that you can get out of this movie. I mean, I'm sure you guys can think of a few. Mess with the best, die like the rest. There's never send a boy to do a woman's job. Let's see, what are the other ones? Okay, I can't find this one, but I thought that was really the Plague says it, and he says that hackers are that they kind of go unnoticed. I'm trying to find it. Remember, hacking is more than a crime; it's a survival trait.
Oh, that's Razor and Blade. Yeah.
Yep. So there's like there's so many different. Every time I listen to it, and I have a page up, but some of the more interesting ones are not on this page that I thought were on it, that I'm looking at. But I always thought, hack the planet, boot up or shut up. Their crime is curiosity. Your secrets were safe. You thought your secrets were safe. You were wrong.
Yeah, those aren't really quotes though. They're just like marketing messages. Quotes would be things like, did your mom get you a pewter for Christmas? Stuff like that, which me and my friend group quoted each other like at least once a month. Have no fear, I is here.
Yes. Those are the kind of ones that I'm looking for right there,
There are worse things than death, and I know all of them. Or know how to do all of them.
Yeah. And that's what I love about the movie, because it's like I can't really think of too many right now, but even in our work history in the past, occasionally a hacker's quote would come up and stuff like that. That and the IT crowd. I mean, one of those.
It was required watching to be a part of the IT group.
I remember.
How are you gonna bond with your coworkers if you don't have a shared vocabulary? And even if that shared vocabulary is terrible and comes from a really Looney Tunes place, at least it's shared.
So true. I always thought that was hilarious to see, when that was one of the first things you said to me was when I first started with working with you, was you got to watch, let's see, IT crowd, and you got to watch hackers. And I think I can't remember if there was another one, but those
Probably
were definitely
the
the two.
server is down, which is a YouTube
the server
video.
Oh, that's what it is. Which is, if anybody hasn't seen that out there, thank you, Chris. I've forgotten about that one. That is so awesome. Is that literally what it's called? The server is down?
Yep. Yeah, you can search for it. It's over a decade old now, but yeah, it's still on YouTube.
It is one of the most hilarious things I have ever seen. And I don't know if you're.
It's pretty niche. Like,
I was just gonna say, unless you're in IT, it's like...
and you'd have to be in IT in the early 2000s to even really kind of get it, because it's using a lot of the in jokes and stuff like that, like going and deleting the email from the Exchange server and it disappearing from the client. Like, no one's gonna get that unless they were alive during that time. They don't understand why that's so funny.
Yes. I just found it, dude. I just found that saying that I wanted to bring up. This is our world now, the world of the electron and the switch, the beauty of the bod.
Oh, that's the actual manifesto.
Yes.
That's not just from the movie. That's the actual manifesto.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's a real document.
I didn't know that. I probably should have known that, but I did not know that.
It's a hacker manifesto that came out, I think in the early 90s, it's some people cringe at it and some people, are like, this is cool in a, revolutionary way and stuff like that. But it's not, I don't know. I don't think it's like the most important, impactful document that ever came out of computing.
Yeah, I only know it from this movie. To be honest with you, I probably have heard it somewhere else, but this is the one where I really tie it to and stuff. But
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is probably the most public form of the reading of it for sure.
yeah. So, anyways, but overall, I really enjoy this movie. This is a movie that I go back to. I can go back to it every once in a while. Now, I wish I could say I could go back to it, like, say Back to the Future or something like that, and watch it all the time. But an occasional watching of it is a must for me. Me and Back to the Future or Star Wars or something, I can watch it every day and still be just fine and stuff. But this one, every couple, every couple times a year, I'm good, and I love it when I do it.
It's really fun to watch with people who haven't seen it before but are in the
Yes.
tech space. Outside of that, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It doesn't age well, and it doesn't communicate its themes very well, and the characters are kind of weird. Especially Lillard's character is absolutely like just very like, I don't know, like the
Homeless?
Room level line delivery. So it's like, there's some weird channeling going on there.
Oh, you just made me think of one of my little favorite parts. He's like, they go into what is that? What is the black guy's name? His name is
Lord Nikon.
Lord Nikon. Oh, I love that guy. They go to Lord Nikon's house, and then they're like, "Hey, Lord Nikon, so like, can I crash your house again?" Yeah. He goes, "All right, dude, no problem." Oh yeah. I don't know why, where they do like the ninja poses and stuff. I just love that part.
Because they're nerds, man. That's the whole point. That's the cute thing about the movie is it doesn't try to make them cool. Not really.
No,
Everyone in the movie is dorky as hell, but that's okay. They're dorky in a way that's like they own it. Like it's not like they're self-conscious about it, which is awesome. Kind of works.
I wish I could say I hadn't done something like that before, but you know how many times I probably have done something like that before? Nameless.
Well, because you're a dork too. That's how it works.
Thank you,
man.
No, I appreciate that.
It's true.
Nerd.
I mean, what are you talking about? We're all nerds and dorks in our own way, dude.
Josh's House of Nerd movie podcast.
What?
Very true.
What? I don't even know.
We have volunteered. You actually haven't blackmailed me into doing this. So what does that say?
I haven't blackmailed any of you guys into doing this.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly my point.
And I know this is a little early, but we're somewhere around 70. We're about 76 podcasts that they haven't fully all come out yet, but that's where we're kind of sitting at right now. And both of you have almost been here for all of them. John's only missed a couple in the early days of when we were doing this. So yeah, I think we're dorks. We're dorks who love dorky things.
Hey, dorks with confidence. That it works. It's okay.
We're dorks with skills, man. You have bow staff skills. I mean, computer skills and hacking skills, and I wish I could say I didn't aspire to be these people. Maybe like early in the 2000s and stuff, and then I kind of.
Oh, but man, who had the confidence to dress like them? I mean, it was just random vests and just. Oh my gosh, just really strange outfits. That's like maybe that is how high schoolers dressed in New York, but I bet not. But it definitely was interesting to a 15-year-old kid in Texas going, what are they wearing?
I would say the same thing because it's like I was, like I said, I was a little closer to being
random dream sequences.
Oh geez, yeah. I was a little closer to the ages of these when it came out, and I was still going, oh my goodness. I wonder if these were like the inspirations for The Matrix. I don't know. Speaking of the dream sequences, or not even in the dream sequences. I had no idea that it showed nudity.
Yeah.
It shows like a real quick nip slip of, or not even a nip slip. It's full on of Angelina Jolie really fast.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
me and my friends
a couple
definitely
times.
knew about it.
I'm
And
sure
it
it's
was
one of those heavily paused scenes. I mean,
it's just one of those scenes that you just tell your friends about. You're like, "Have you seen this movie? You need to see this movie." and it wasn't for the themes.
you need to see it. Wink, wink. It's awesome. Uh-huh. Yeah, it's like the same idea of like, me and my friends like pausing, Princess Leia on the Return of the Jedi over and over again in certain scenes. It was amazing.
Well, that's a bit older than me, but all right.
Return of the Jedi? Come on.
When did that come out? Like 84?
Oh no. 83 was, or 82. No, it was 85, I guess, wasn't it? Dang it. 86? Okay, now I'm gonna look that up. I know when Empire Strikes Back. I know when Empire Strikes Back came out. It was in 83, but I'm like spacing a little bit on Return of the Jedi. Year.
Now I've called him on it. He's got to find it.
Oh shit, I am wrong. 80 was Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi was 83. Yeah, I'm wrong. I'm slipping a little bit, guys. I would have been able to know that at least 5 years ago. I would have known that. Dead on.
All good.
But also 5 years ago, I probably could have quoted every name of every Star Trek The Next Generation episode too, by just watching the episode for about a minute or less, 30 seconds. So, like I said,
are we going to talk about? Are we going to talk about how racist Acid Burn is?
Okay. Racist in what way? Like against men?
Yeah.
Or like, yeah.
No.
Or
racist. What? Okay, so follow me here.
Okay.
He's in New York. He's doing his open hacking of the TV station. He is attempting to turn off a racist guy talking about, lesser races of, different people and stuff like that. And then she's like, "Hey, you're on my turf," which means that she let that play, or she wanted that to play, because she could have turned it off.
I got to be honest. I never even thought about that. I just thought it was the fun exchange between him just wanting to watch the Outer Limits. But was the Outer Limits or Twilight Zone? I can't remember. It's one of those. But anyways, no, I never even thought about it that way. To be honest with you, does that mean I'm not racist and stuff? Hopefully. But no,
well, I mean, this wasn't about you, Josh. But now that you put yourself, no, I'm just kidding.
I know. What did I just do?
Why'd you make this about you, Josh? What are you getting defensive about?
Crap. Do you have any other more examples of her being racist?
No,
I mean, she's always like making those comments against the guys because of her mom being the author about women versus men and things like that. But I mean, a lot of those books were popular at that time anyway. Men are from Venus, women are from Mars, or whatever. I think that's right. Anyway, you had a lot of those kind of books at that time. It seemed like it was kind of a
no. I just thought it was I thought on this watch, it's the only new thing I kind of pulled out of this watch was just, wait a minute, that's her turf. Why is she letting racist lecture happen? Yeah, I'm like, I wonder if she condones it. Silence is acceptance.
Ooh.
I don't know. Anyway, I just thought that was the only new thing I pulled out.
Oh, that's funny. I think I just got reminded a lot more on this movie. I think I got reminded of that there's nudity in this movie. Not against it, just got reminded. And a few things like that, and just how this is a fun movie. It is a fun movie, cheesy fun, but
the soundtrack slaps.
I agreed. I agree, and stuff. It is. It's really good.
I think that opening when he's on the airplane flying into New York, that song was part of my LimeWire downloaded tracks back in the day.
Oh wow, LimeWire.
Yeah, I'm admitting to pirating over more than a decade ago.
Hopefully it's outside of the, what is that? I can't even think of the right word. Outside of the time of the law that you would be
Statute of
prosecuted for.
limitations?
Statute of limitations. Dang it. I couldn't think of it.
It's all right.
Even if it wasn't, they'd. Yeah. Anyways, you used LimeWire and not Kazaa Lite.
No, I'm
all
too
of-
old for Kazaa. That was for kids.
That's very true. That's
What?
very true.
What? I used Kazaa and LimeWire at the same time along with Napster.
It was Napster and then LimeWire, and then after that, everybody went legitimate and bought all the tracks,
Yep.
and then signed up for Spotify.
Yeah, it was really Spotify that killed most of it.
Well, Apple did a pretty good dent in it too.
I think iTunes did pretty good.
It did really well.
Yeah, I mean, heck, I bought a lot off iTunes at the time. I mean, when I started going legitimate and stuff, and still have a lot of those tunes.
The soundtrack and the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, I think, were like repeat plays for some reason.
Like the movie soundtrack for Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, the movie soundtrack.
I love that soundtrack. Kombat. I like that one a lot, man. I have so many good memories from the soundtrack of Mortal Kombat. Was there any, like, I can't remember on the soundtrack of Hackers, was there any, like, people that were, like, known? Or is it a lot of unknown people? Because I recognize
it's just a lot of early 90s electronica and a little bit of rap rock and a little bit of, like, Steve Vai inspired, like, guitar work and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a weird time, man. 95 was a weird time. Definitely a transitional year.
I remember listening to Steve Vai on the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure soundtrack. I didn't even know who he was really before that. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure brought it to me, man. I'm looking at it right now. There's not one person I could really, the Prodigy. Okay, there's one.
Prodigy were big.
Okay, there's another one. Stereo MCs, the Squeeze, not the Squeeze, and Left Field. Okay, there's a couple I do recognize. But yeah, a lot of them are like ones I never heard of before, but that doesn't mean they weren't awesome. Orbital, Ramshackle. Anyway, Underworld. But you're right. I really do enjoy the music. It really this is one of those movies that really does amplify what's going on. The way that they use music in this, I don't know. It kind of is reminiscent of me. I kind of compare just a little bit to some of the scenes in like the Matrix or something like that when they're going into the Matrix and the use of music there to enhance the scene. I kind of feel like they're doing kind of something similar here. Again, did the Matrix rip off Hackers?
I mean,
clothing and music? What?
No, not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
Conspiracy theory here.
Did they see Hackers and maybe that pulled some ideas from it? Maybe, but it's homage, whatever. I don't think it was a major influence, though.
I don't think so either.
I mean, one of the issues that they had was they were like, okay, every time they show the person's screen and the person's typing, I don't know how that interface would work, right? Like you get booted from a system and suddenly your screen goes white and like, explosion graphics happen. Like it makes absolutely no sense. And that's what I'm saying is like, it's a cartoon.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't reflect reality, but it is a cartoon. Like it's interpreted through people who are very artistic and had some cool ideas. Yeah. And we're just like, you could tell they were just kind of solving it as they went. It's like, oh, well, we're not going to show them like, typing into the command line. We're going to just replace the entire screen with a video of what we think this might look like and reuse, the same video multiple times. But still, it's like, that's, every time you hit the garbage file, it's like, okay, it's the same video, just cut in slightly different ways, playing. And it's like, okay, what would this look like if we had, our consultant says there's such thing as a worm that can steal, amounts of money over time. It's like, okay, how do we represent that visually? Because we can't just show them. They even did show like full hex code stuff during the montage hacking scene when they were trying to, figure out what was in the file. And
True.
it's like, okay, cool. At least they put that on screen at some point. But when it comes down to it, they were just like, maybe this kind of worm graphic thing that's, and we'll actually represent it as a worm with these little curly things on the edge of it. And it's kind of, weird and cool. And I was like, I can appreciate it for the visual medium that it's meant for, even if it is so far from reality that it's basically unrecognizable.
Mm-hmm. That was my interpretation of it, making it look like algebra. That's because that's
Yeah,
what
I
it
mean,
made
it's
it
like
look like to me.
your trash file has random like Fourier transform formulas floating around inside of it for some reason. Like it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. But that's
I still love it. I still love it.
It's an
Every time I see
it's
one
like,
of their interfaces and it's just an image and they're sitting there typing away, it's like, how in the hell are they knowing what they're typing? They can't even see anything.
if this movie came out today, it would be the most memeable movie ever. You would just get nothing but cuts of it across all of the internet, sharing things that are just ridiculous and funny and awesome.
True. And you still every once in a while see this movie get that way. I've seen memes of this movie come up several times, especially when it's computer,
I guess it depends on the social medias you're on. Yeah.
Right.
That. It doesn't seem like it's like something that the kids reference very often.
No, it's usually older.
This might be geriatric memes, but yeah.
Oh shit. From people our age, are you calling us geriatric, man? I mean, come on.
We're getting up there, bud. You're gonna have to face the truth sooner or later.
No, I don't feel like it inside.
Yeah.
I feel it definitely on the outside, but on the inside. I was just talking to some people yesterday about that. I was over at our friend Pete's house, and shout out to Pete if he ever listens. And we were over at his brother's house, and we were talking like about, he was talking about dating girls, and he's like, who would want to date me? I'm like, how old are you, man? He's like, 54. I'm like, oh, that's not bad. And here I'm thinking, 54 doesn't even feel that old anymore. I'm 45.
This movie is 28 years ago. It's got kids and a job.
It's got kids. Angelina has had how many marriages and how many? She's got 6 kids now and something like that. Half of them with Brad Pitt.
This movie is old, man. It's almost 3 decades old.
Now you're making me feel old.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The kids aren't going to be referencing this movie, and that's fine. It wasn't.
I'm going to have to go sit in a dark room and contemplate my existence now, Kurt. Thank you.
Age gracefully. It's not a big deal.
Go get me a Diet Mountain Dew.
Be the best. I don't know. What are you, 60-year-old that you are now? I don't know.
Holy shiz. Thank you. That boosted my confidence.
You look amazing for 60.
Damn right. I work hard at it. Oh, all right. John, do you have anything else to say? You've been kind of silent for a minute. I get the feeling we kind of hit the limit of what you had to say.
Yep, I'm good.
As me and Crait are sitting here having fun joking.
It's okay. You two had fun earlier.
We did.
When you were comparing bods.
Yeah. Whew. Those are nice things. Bods and stuff. I could compare them all day. I guess let's go to the ratings. John, do you want to go first?
I'd watch this with my mom, but she'd probably make fun of me afterwards.
Would she make fun of you and question your what job you went into after?
She's already
or what?
No.
She already has.
She's like, this is what you do? I didn't even know you owned a pair of rollerblades.
Do you know skateboard?
That's pretty good.
What's your handle at work?
Pseudo chop.
Bring it right back around.
That was a good loop, man. All right.
Plus, my first name works as a handle anyway, so I don't worry about it.
That's true. I mean, heck, even your business. I mean, that your name and your businesses and all that stuff. Definitely a good handle. Has been so far anyway. Except where you go to restaurants, I've noticed. I mean, how many people you go crit and they go, what? And then you just tell them your last name?
It makes things easier on everybody involved.
I know, it threw me off the first time you ever did that. And I'm like, who? Who are they calling? And then you went and picked it up your food. And oh, okay. Anyway. I will give my rating, I guess. I'm gonna give this in as much as in cheesiness and stuff, but just because I enjoy it so much, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. Serial killers, because it's fun, it's cheesy, fun, even though it has a lot of flaws and stuff like that. I still enjoy watching this movie immensely, just for what it is, And maybe that's a throwback to my original feelings of it, that maybe haven't aged as well, but it's still there.
It's a nostalgia thing for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. What about you?
I gave this a 6 out of 10. I think it's
fair enough.
It's 6 because it is enjoyable, but it's not a good movie, like by any real measure.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate how much effort went into it, and also
agreed.
I don't know. It just has such memorable lines for, me and my peer group that we just use it all the time. So I've got to like it, but I do recognize that this is not, it's definitely not for everybody, and it doesn't age really well. And it's got some problematic stuff in it, but outside of those things, it has a lot of nostalgia factor and a lot of like shared language with people that I know and love. So yeah.
No, I can totally relate to it. I almost gave it a 7, and I pushed it to an 8 a little bit just for more of the nostalgia factor. So I understand that 6 heavily. Because like literally I was kind of balanced between 7 and 8. For actually all the reasons you just said and stuff. So awesome. I think this is a fun watch. I am glad that this one got picked. And hopefully you guys will like the picks that I have next for the next topic for this week. And just so y'all know, I got, caught with my pants down a little bit on this last one. I showed Crit this the other day. And I now have going forward the next time a whole list of genres, and I have a really good one. I really can't wait. Almost wish we were doing it now, but I like this theme nevertheless. And everybody out there who didn't hear our last podcast that are listening to this one, our next month's topic is the genre of underwater movies, or mostly underwater. And here are the 3 movies that I have picked. So here you go, guys. Number 1, underwater, where no one can hear you scream. Number 2, this movie concept is underwater.
Okay. High effort there, Josh. Literally state the genre that you picked.
You'll understand it more when I tell you what the movie is. Okay?
Oh, I'm sure. Anyways. I'm sure it ties in, but yeah.
Number 3, it can be a labyrinth underwater. So you got underwater where no one can hear you scream. You've got this movie concept is underwater, and it can be a labyrinth underwater.
I like 3.
Okay, let's go with 3.
I think I know what 3 is, and that's why I like 3.
Okay. I'm going to let you guess here in a second after I tell you the first 2, okay? Number 1, underwater, where no one can hear you scream. That's The Abyss and stuff, because it's aliens underwater. Number 2, this movie concept is underwater. Literally, it's the movie Underwater with Kristen Stewart.
Then I don't know what number 3 is. Now
Did you think it was that one?
No. But it doesn't. What I thought doesn't fit in with your themes, so.
Okay. And number 1, the one you guys picked, it can be a labyrinth underwater. Sanctum. Have you guys ever seen this movie?
Is that the one with
it's about cave divers,
Morgan Freeman
underwater.
and
no, it's what? I own what is that guy's name? He's in the X-Men. It is
Oh.
Ione Gruffalo.
Yeah, okay. I have seen this one. This has got Joan Grufford in it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about cave divers. They get caught in a cave when a hurricane comes in.
Yep, I have seen this one.
Oh,
And
great.
so
This sounds like a horror movie for me. So wonderful.
why does it sound
Yeah,
like
you
a
won't
horror
sleep
movie for
well.
you?
I really suffer from claustrophobia, so
Oh shiz, you're gonna
yeah.
hate this movie then.
You
But
might
at
have
the
some
same
nightmares after this.
at the same time, if you think about it, most of these movies
You know
underwater
what?
kind of deal with that.
I got through the Santa Claus. I can get through this.
Hell yeah, you can. If anybody can get through the Santa Claus, you can get through Sanctum, dude. Because
And
that is
Ice
like the
Pirates.
standard. Oh, don't even go there with Ice Pirate. Okay, we're fighting again. And no, I'm just joking.
All right,
It's a bet. Feud. It's like
All
me
right.
and my daughter. We always go back and forth because Empire Strikes Back is mine, and I always tell her I disown her because her favorite's Return of the Jedi. How dare her pick another movie that's her favorite of the Star Wars trilogy?
Well,
Dare.
our feud will be to hack Agent Gills at the Secret Service.
I'm there. I'm all over that with you, man. Hack Agent
I
Gill,
called
hack
dibs on the
planet.
personal ad.
Damn, that was my favorite one. Well, okay. So my guess is you haven't seen Sanctum before, then, Crit.
I have not. It'll be a
Okay,
new
and
one.
it has been a while since I've seen it, so any one of these is good. And you know what? So it's good that we didn't pick The Abyss. I just watched it yesterday, so I love that movie so much. It's one of my favorites. Anyways, Sanctum, I have seen it once a long time ago, and I look forward to seeing it again. And I look forward to seeing what you say, Crit, now that I know what I know and stuff. I picked this without knowing that. So, anyways, all right.
Yeah, no,
It's
he
been
picked
a-
it on purpose. Once he knew about it, he was like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
because I'm a
no.
vindictive
I'm
prick.
gonna have
That's
to
why.
make Crit. What is it called? Faces Fears. There we go.
Yeah. So this is gonna be
Although
like
I'm
therapy for
I'm
you?
pretty claustrophobic as well, so I can sympathize. Not necessarily with underwater. Mine's more like caves in general, and not necessarily underwater stuff. But it's not fun.
We will have it. I'm sure we will discuss my fears when we come back and do this.
Like I said,
It'll
this will be counseling, facing your fears, Crit.
Yeah,
At least you admitted it. You took the first step.
Free
You admitted it.
therapy.
I
Yeah.
mean,
This
okay.
is free therapy.
I don't know. Now I'm scared of you. I don't know anything about the movie's not the issue. You guys are going to give me bad advice. I know it. I've listened to our podcast. I know what I should expect.
Wait, you're saying our podcast is bad, you jerk?
I mean, it's of a certain quality. So yeah,
it's awesome quality. People
Yes,
love
awesome.
it. All of our 110 subscribers love it. And I'll leave with that. Thank you to everybody out there who's listening to it. All the 118 people that occasionally listen to our podcast. We appreciate you. And everybody out there who supports our channel, thank you to you who drop in. Please click the like button if you like what you heard here. It really helps us. And as always, may you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper from all of us here at Josh's House of Nerd. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check out our other nerdy videos.